A company named EasySMX reached out to me and asked me if I could review their brand new M05 mobile gaming controller. And I was like, you know what? I just upgraded my iPhone 6S to a Galaxy S24, so the timing's perfect. Now they're claiming that this is the most user-friendly gamepad for mobile. And you know what? After using this, I think they're telling the truth, because this comes with an app and it fully supports things like Xbox Game Pass, Steam, and it just works seamlessly with everything I've tried it with. And it has so many customization options, but I'll get into those customization options later. First, let's have a look at the hardware and test out some games. You can see the hardware is kind of set up like a Nintendo Switch, and it pretty much turns your Android or iPhone 15 into a very powerful handheld gaming device. And speaking of which, if you actually haul this apart, there's a little chart down here, and it basically has a color chart, so the light on the left side here will light up. So you can set these modes up for Android or iPhone, and there's some very useful modes that I'll go over in this video. And as you can see, this can stretch out pretty far. It can stretch from 100 millimeters up to 173 millimeters. And it has these rubber grips on the inside to protect your phone case. And there's this flexible USB-C connector that you can plug into your phone, or you can connect this with Bluetooth, but they do recommend that you just plug it into your phone directly. And you can see on the bottom here, you can actually charge your phone while you're playing, and it supports 15 watt fast charging. Something to keep in mind about this button layout, the joysticks are set up like Nintendo Switch, and what I mean by that is the joystick is directly below the buttons. So for example, if you take an Xbox controller, you can see that my thumb's resting comfortably on the buttons, and if I want to use the joystick, I can easily reach over for it. Whereas if you want to use the joystick on this, you have to move your thumb straight down, so that might be a little different for some users. But obviously this Nintendo Switch design makes sense because your phone screen's here in the middle. Speaking of the joysticks, they're not sunken down, they stick up pretty far, and they have a grippy texture on them with a ridge like modern controllers. The D-pad and the buttons feel pretty good. They have a nice resistance with a little bit of clickiness. The buttons are great, but the D-pad didn't register sometimes when I was playing Pac-Man, and I know that's the case because when I used the joystick, it worked just fine. It's also worth noting that the X, Y, A, B buttons are laid out like an Xbox controller. You've got your select and start buttons, a function button for customizations, and also a turbo button that you can customize as well. On the top, you've got HAL linear triggers that have a nice resistance just like a modern controller. And the LB and RB buttons are clicky. It kind of feels like you're clicking on a computer mouse. On the back you have a couple of extra programmable buttons named M1 and M2. And these are clicky buttons that you can set up to do different things, similar to an Asus ROG Ally. And they specifically designed this spine so that your phone cameras that stick out don't get in the way. And if you haul this apart, you can see that there's a QR code here where you can download the app, which is a nice touch. Now one thing you should keep in mind is that I have a very thick phone case because I have a protective case on here, and you can see it creates quite a gap to get in at the charger. So if you have a thick protective phone case like I do, you may have to remove it to hook it up to this thing. However, they did design this to fit most phone cases, but their suggested phone case thickness is less than or equal to 1 millimeter. So this should work with most generic phone cases as long as this USB-C plug can reach into the port. Now my phone is plugged in already, and you can see how flexible the USB-C plug is. All you have to do is just open this up and put your phone in and you're good to go. So here's the MooWii gaming app, and I definitely recommend downloading this and allowing all the permissions so you can get full use out of this thing. This app basically makes this device really easy to use, so I set up an account Batpixel and I allowed all the permissions, and I went ahead and set up Call of Duty and PUBG Mobile. And you can add more games, but you don't have to. I used Xbox Game Pass to play some stuff and it works just fine. But the top here is what you really want to focus on, and that's game mode. So right now I'm in wired mode, which is most recommended, but there's also a PS mode for Apple devices. You can also use Bluetooth if you like, but it's better to play wired. There's also an Xbox mode in here, but the one that's really cool is this wired Android direct play mode. So this is basically for games like PUBG where you have to use your thumb to press the screen all the time to like shoot or run or do anything. So this will act as your fingers, so you can use these buttons instead, and your phone will act like you're actually pressing the buttons on the screen instead. And I'll show you how to do that after. It's actually really neat. But for now, let's stay in wired mode and I'll hop into some GoldenEye. And it's pretty easy. Just open up Game Pass and click on GoldenEye under the cloud option. So I never had to set anything up. You can see that the joystick's working right away, and when I hit A, I can go in and select a mission. So let's play Facility on 00 Agent. Now I really want to show you how cool this mode is, where it thinks your finger's actually touching the screen, and sometimes it might ask this, just say okay. Alright, so I'm in PUBG, and this is so crazy to me. I have this fully customized. I can even look down my scope, I can run around, I can switch my weapons if I want. I even have it set up so say I go to drive in a vehicle, I can just drive it using my D-pad. So basically you hit the little icon for the app over on the left, and then hit change, and all the buttons of your controller pop up on this little menu, and you can pretty much take a button and click it and drag it anywhere you want on your screen. So like I just put the start button over here, for example. I can move it over here, or I can just delete it. But if you see all these purple buttons all over the screen, I basically chose them from here and dragged them. So for example, my A button for jump, I took the A button from here and I dragged it over to right here. So now my A button is jump. So when I'm running around, you can see that my joystick's matching this thing right here. So you can use your finger still to move around, but it's way better using a joystick. Except for someone shooting my vehicle, so... But you get the idea. It's actually really useful for games like this. So yeah, obviously this thing is really high quality. Now I asked the folks over at EasySMX would they offer a discount code for my viewers, and they were really cool, and they offered a 12% discount code using the code Batpixel M05. And I'll have links to their store and the discount code down below. So while we're in GoldenEye, I'm going to show you how to use this function button to customize this button at the back to help me do something a lot easier in the game. So if you're familiar with this game, if I want to use a little bomb, I have to throw it and then switch over to my watch and then blow it up. Another option in the game is to throw the bomb and use the shortcut A and R1 to blow it up, but that can be hit or miss sometimes because if you don't press those correctly, it won't blow up. So what I'm going to do to make this easier is set up this A and R1 shortcut to be the back button so that I can just click this and the bomb will blow up really easy. So all I have to do is hold on the function button and the button at the back. And then this actually just turned pink. So what I'll do is hit A and R1 at the same time and then the back button. And now this just blinked and it's set up. So just check this out. If I throw a bomb and then hit a button at the back, it'll blow up. So now I can do this action by just hitting one button, and it's way easier than before. I'm also going to show you how to use the turbo button because it's really easy and it's really useful. If I want to empty the clip in my gun and I hold down on the trigger, you can see that it kind of slowly counts down. But if I want this to go faster, or if I want to make it fully automatic, I can do those things. So for example, if I hold down on the turbo button and hit shoot, now it's set up to be turbo. So if I hold down on the trigger, just look how fast this goes. You see how it's much faster? That's because the turbo button's hitting a bunch of times. Now, what if I wanted to make this gun fully automatic? You can do that with the turbo button. Because I have this set up with the turbo button to shoot quickly, all I have to do is double click the turbo button and then hit shoot. And look what happens. I don't have to touch it at all, and it'll just go and go and go as fast as it can. And you can actually customize how many times that this actually gets pressed. And you can read about that in the instruction manual, but basically I'm just showing you that the turbo button works really well. But the interesting part about that turbo button where you can make it fully automatic is, imagine you took a game like Minecraft. You could use this turbo button to help you dig in Minecraft without having to hold on any of the buttons. And if you like this review, I have a full playlist of gaming product reviews you should check out.